in Taiwan. So it's true, we are here with the European Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee delegation. In the delegation we have 8 members of the European Parliament from 7 different European member states, and actually from all important political groups, so that all the variety of European politics is also here represented. And I guess that this is in this sense important, that as you see that majority of European political groups are here, it also clearly shows the interest and support of the European Union and of the European Parliament to Taiwan is really, well, very strong and more or less consensual.
各位晚安，那么也非常高兴，先感谢各位媒体朋友们呢，今晚来到这边拨冗出席，那也非常高兴能够再次造访台湾。我们这一次呢，就是一个欧洲议会的外交委员会的一个访问团，我们总共有8名团员，来自7个会员国，那代表着非常多不同的重要的政治组织，所以呢，从我们这一次访问团有大部分的政治组织，这一点看来呢，可以看得出，欧盟也好，还是欧洲议会也好，对台湾的兴趣以及支持都非常的强劲，也是我们共同的共识。
With this visit, we also visited Japan yesterday and day before yesterday, and from Japan last night we came here to Taiwan. And the main aim for this visit is clearly express the interest of the European Union to deepen our cooperation and relationship with democracies, with democratic societies also here in Asia. And in this sense, Taiwan is a very important and strong partner as a society where human rights are very important, where democratic values are very important, so that this is one of our clear goals why we're here. We also, of course, like to stress the need for more cooperation, be it in business relations, trade relations, but also these days the trade and investment cooperation between the European Union and Taiwan is very strong, and also vice versa. Investments from Taiwan to the European Union, and of course they all are welcome also in the future.
此次访问呢，事实上我们这个亚洲行，我们上一站是在日本，昨天跟前天在日本访问，昨天晚上我们飞抵了台湾。我们这次亚洲行的目标就是我们要去进一步强调我们欧盟对于跟亚洲民主国家的一些深化关系以及深化合作的这样的兴趣。这样子的一个伙伴当然包括台湾，因为台湾是欧盟很重要的伙伴。那么我们也知道台湾这个社会呢是非常重视人权价值的一个社会，因此我们也特别强调我们对于深化跟台湾关系的兴趣。那我们这边也特别强调，就是我们需要跟亚洲国家这边进一步有更强化、更深入的商务以及贸易的合作关系。尤其近来呢，我们也看到台湾跟欧盟之间，无论是贸易还是投资，其实都有深化的一个现象。台湾对欧盟的投资当然也是进一步在增加。那未来台湾对欧洲的投资呢，都是十分欢迎的。
And as you know, the biggest problem at the moment for Europe is ongoing Russian aggression against its neighboring country, Ukraine. And in this regard, it is very highly appreciated that Taiwan took very quickly, very clear position, condemning this Russian aggression against Ukraine. And not only Taiwan made political clear statements, but you also have assisted Ukrainian people, and it's also not only government, but also your people who donated for Ukraine and Ukrainian people who are suffering under Russian attacks. And of course, it's also very much needed in foreseeable future, because it is absolutely important that Ukraine will get back full control over its all territory, and this war ends the way that aggressor will not have any further intention to continue attacking its neighbors. And that's why it's also important that there will be no impunity, that all of them who have responsibility for war crimes, crimes of aggression, will be in the court of justice. And also aggressor country has to pay for rebuilding Ukraine for all these damages they have caused. But for this, of course, also international cooperation and support is very much needed. And that's why, once again, I'm very grateful what Taiwan already has done supporting Ukraine, but it's not over yet.
那么众所周知现在欧洲当前最重要的问题就是俄罗斯还在持续入侵乌克兰。那么因此呢，我也要特别感谢台湾在第一时间呢就很快速且非常明确的表达对俄罗斯的谴责，而且呢还协助了不只是政府，台湾的人民也是进一步协助了乌克兰的人民，让乌克兰人民在水深火热当中、战火当中也能得到充分的帮助。那在近期的未来当中，这样子的帮助还十分的需要。而且呢，我们也希望说，当前最重要的课题就是能够让乌克兰实现能够收回他们在这次战争当中所有的失土。那希望说，当这个战争结束的时候，所有的这个侵略者都不会有进一步侵略的意图，而且希望说，发动战争的人或者是犯下这个战争罪行的人呢，最后都能够得到该有的惩罚，并且对于战争当中所有的需要重建的这些损失呢，予以赔偿。那么这个整个重建的工作当然也非常需要国际间的合作。那么台湾已经非常大力的在支持乌克兰了，但是整场战争还在持续，还没结束。
But this war in Ukraine, this Russian aggression actually shows to the world that the totalitarian and authoritarian regimes support each other in this kind of actions. And that's why it is absolutely important that also democracies all around in the world, be it Europe, be it America, be it Asia, that we stick together and will have very deep cooperation to balance this negative, influence of authoritarian regimes. Just recently, also the leaders of the European Union countries decided that there will be now special attention also from Europe, from the European Union to Asia-Pacific region, and of course developments also here in your area. And it must be also absolutely clear that whatever disagreements there are, or whatever problems there are, the only solution which is in accordance with the international law, with human rights, is peaceful solution. And that actually should be must in international affairs. Unfortunately, it's not the case, as you all see what's going on in Ukraine. But to avoid possible new escalations in the world, it is very important that countries who still see that human rights is important, that international law is important, that rules-based order in the world is important, that we do much more cooperation than ever, including in security sector.
我们知道，在俄罗斯入侵乌克兰的这场战争当中，向我们全世界彰显了独裁政权是会互相合作的。因此呢，在整个民主的世界，无论是在欧洲、美洲还是亚洲呢，都必须要团结在一起，要深化彼此的合作，来跟威权的这个阵营之间呢进行抗衡跟平衡。因此呢，欧盟的各国领导人其实都进一步再重新关注亚太地区这边相关的发展。那事实上，在整个民主世界当中所重视的，无论是有任何的协议也好，还是面对任何的问题要解决也好，所有的解决方案都必须要符合国际法、人权的原则，还有和平的原则。 可惜我们在乌克兰看到说，其实这样子的一个战争状况呢，已经违反了这些原则。那在可能的这个状况进一步升高的情况之下呢，我们必须要进一步去重申我们对于国际法、还有人权以及以规则为基础的国际秩序的重视。
And before I stop my monologue here in front of you, I just also like to stress that Taiwan has actually lots of very unique and valuable expertise. For example, in the sphere of digital developments, modern IT developments, including semiconductors, but you also have, for instance, very good, healthcare expertise. And that's why I also see that it is such a waste for global community that, for example, so far World Health Organization, WHO, has not taken on board Taiwanese expertise. Also, Interpol, for example, has not using your expertise and possibilities to give added value. It's just such a waste. So that I guess that one of the approaches clearly also should be that Taiwan should get more opportunities to give added value also to those international organizations, so that in this regard, this international participation of Taiwan in several organizations where you really can give added value, well, it will be simply in accordance with common sense to everybody in this world.
那在我致辞结束的之前呢，我想要再进一步去讲哦，就是说事实上呢，其实在台湾这边有非常多独特而且非常有价值的这样子一个洞见或者是价值，例如说像台湾这边的数位发展，还有资通讯的发展，包括半导体在内，都是非常非常有价值的。还有包括台湾的非常卓越的医疗卫生的服务。因此呢，我觉得像是在国际社会，包括世界卫生组织，在排除台湾的这个情况之下，是非常非常可惜的。因为其实这个世界、这个国际社会应该能够从台湾的医卫方面的专才能够获得许多的价值，或者说国际刑警组织也能够从台湾的执法方面的专业获取许多的价值，因此把台湾排除在外十分的可惜。我相信台湾应该要充分的这样子一个机会来参与国际组织，对于全世界进一步的贡献，这样才符合所谓的国际的常识才对。
So, I stop here my initial remarks. I guess you got that my main message is about values, about the values of human lives, which unfortunately are not respected still everywhere in the world. Thank you.
所以基本上我的致辞到此，所以我的整个致辞还有我这次访问的主轴就是人命的价值、人权的价值。很可惜，在全世界还是有一些角落这样子的价值没有受到重视跟尊重。
Thank you for your remarks and your nice word for Taiwan. 那我们现在就开放现场媒体记者的提问。那希望媒体记者举手的时候也告诉我们您的大名以及您所属的媒体。
We will now open the floor to questions from the media. Please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question. Please let us know your name and the media you represent when asking a question. Thank you.
联合报
Hi, this is Mark from Unity Daily. First of all, welcome to Taiwan. My first question being that concerning Europe's relationship with China and the US, the French President Macron has advocated the concept of European sovereignty and strategic autonomy. From your observation, is that in part with the general consensus in Europe? And my second question being that with the persistence of Russian aggression still, in your opinion, is it within Europe's interest to further involve in the theater of Indo-Pacific region? Or do you think Europe should perhaps remain more conservative? Thank you.
好，那我这边来自联合国的提问哦，就是说我们第一个是关于欧洲跟美中之间的关系，像之前马克宏总统，法国总统在访问中国的时候呢，有特别强调就是欧洲的一个战略自主。请问像这样子的一个战略自主是否符合欧盟的共识？再来就是我们随着俄罗斯持续的入侵乌克兰，那是否就是在欧洲来讲，就是是否在比如说 关注乌克兰这件事情是否符合欧洲的利益，还是说就是说在关注乌克兰利益的时候，乌克兰战争的时候，是否同时在关注印太地区是否符合欧洲的利益，还是说欧洲在印太地区的事务上面是否会采取保守的态势？谢谢。
联合报的提问。
Yes. What concerns your first question? Actually, there is no conflict in between the understanding that Europe needs to be more autonomous, in this sense, has to take more care also about itself and manage more things on its own, and on the other hand, to make as much as possible cooperation with the United States and all other democracies. There is actually no conflict in between these two concepts. Because, for example, when we speak about security, then also the security cooperation, for example, in the frame of NATO, is stronger if also Europe can more to contribute. We see at the moment with this also military assistance to Ukraine that it's not enough if we look at only European resources. Still, we need American assistance and American support. So that it's obvious that Europe has to do more to increase, in this sense, autonomy, that we can cope with crises and problems better. I bring you two examples here. When COVID started, early 2020, then in Europe, all of a sudden, people realized that, well, we even don't have those very simple medical masks. That even with such a simple stuff, we are very much dependent on China, also on Taiwan, also on some other countries who produce them. And it was very clear weak point for Europe. And now with this huge security crisis with Russian aggression against Ukraine again, the same. We discover that if there will be, and there is, full-fledged war against European country, it's not enough to use only European resources. We need also support from Americans and others. And it should be better. So that in this sense, as I said, I don't see here conflict, because stronger Europe and Europe who can better manage also crises and during difficult times to cope with them is also better partner for others. I mean, for United States or any other our democratic partner and ally. So that there is no conflict. And I'm very big supporter, and not only me, but I would say also looking at European Parliament resolutions, that also the majority of the European Parliament sees clearly that we need even stronger common foreign and security policy of Europe. And in this sense, it is even more stronger if we can consult, for example, with our other allies on common Russia policy, on common China policy, and so on. Because now, I guess that more or less this common Russia policy finally works. Yes, the reason is very sad why it finally works. When United States and European Union and Taiwan and other democracies are on the same page. But I guess that it would be also wise to have, for example, between United States and the European Union more consultations and common policies, for example, vis-à-vis China. So that, and this comes actually from the same concept which I described. When authoritarian regimes are making more and more cooperation, then there is no other way than democracies have to do the same to balance this influence. I had this example that, well, Taiwan reacted very quickly when Russia attacked Ukraine once again last year. So it also shows clearly that also here, in Asia, in your part of the world, you also care what is going on, you know, on the other side of the globe, in Europe. And I would say that the same applies also for Europe. So that my short answer would be that, of course, we care what is going on here. Because in today's world is so small, we all know that something happens here and the impact is global. So that's why I also stress this, that also all the disputes and disagreements you have here in your region, everything should be solved by peaceful means. Because, okay, translate.
其实我觉得说，欧洲的战略自主跟与美国之间的合作其实没有所谓的冲突因为就是说，我们当然欧洲要自己加强对自己事务的关注以及管理，像是安全事务啊，还有安全合作等。那如果我们自己，例如说在安全合作方面，如果说是在北约的框架之下的话，我们只要欧洲能够更强大的话，那我们就能够作为美国更好的一个伙伴。那事实上，在整个俄罗斯入侵乌克兰的时候呢，我们当然欧洲也有援助乌克兰，但是光我们欧洲是不够的，也仰赖美国的援助。那这个时候呢，我们自我管理的一个能力呢，就直接关乎到说我们如何去解决现在欧洲大陆上面最当前的这样子的一个危机哈。那举一个例子，就是我们在2020年初COVID-19 疫情的初期的时候呢，事实上我们欧洲突然间就面对口罩不够的问题。虽然口罩是一个很简单的东西，但是我们长期以来高度仰赖中国、台湾或其他国家制造的口罩，那这也凸显了欧洲的弱点。那因此呢，在俄罗斯入侵乌克兰这样子的一个安全危机方面呢，那事实上我们现在安全的考量就是说，我们欧洲呢，好像自己的自主防卫能力不是很够，也需要需要美国的帮助。那么如果欧洲的自我管理的能力或防卫能力能够进一步加强的话，除了能够自己安然度过，靠自己的能力度过难关之外呢，又能够作为其他民主国家以及美国更好的一个伙伴。因此呢，我还有许多的欧洲议员其实本身都非常支持我们欧盟对外加强外交以及安全方面的合作。那因此呢，我们会跟许多的盟友呢进行许多的咨商，无论是在对俄关系还是对中的政策方面。那当然，我们说我们现在因为很难过的是因为战争的关系，但是终于因为这场战争，美国、欧盟、台湾还有许多的民主国家在对俄的政策方面呢，开始有了一致的一个态势。那事实上，我们对中也应该一样，就是美国跟欧盟应该要有许多的咨询，看能不能够去有一致化我们的对中政策。因为就像我先前讲过的一样，威权的国家之间会互相合作，那这凸显了民主国家之间更应该加强合作。那我先前也指出了，台湾其实在俄罗斯入侵乌克兰的初期呢，就很快速的去进行了谴责。那这也明确指出了亚洲其实对于欧洲的事务是非常关切的。反之亦然其实我们欧洲非常在乎亚太地区，因为现在世界很小，是个地球村。因此，对我们欧洲人来讲，亚太地区有任何的事务或者是纷争要解决，一定要是秉持和平的原则。
Because of war in Ukraine, there is much higher risk for many African countries of starving, because Ukrainian grain, Ukrainian food products cannot reach anymore those countries. So that you see very clear impact to third countries, even to third continent, because of Russian-Ukrainian war. If you look at your region here, majority of trade, majority of transit between Asia and Europe and the rest of the world goes just next door of Taiwan. We all can imagine, and it's not only the issue of imagination, but it's already calculated, what could be the impact for global economy if this kind of trade route here will be disrupted. I spoke about semiconductors. Again, Taiwan, but also other countries in the region, Korea, also China, even Japan in certain amount are huge exporters of semiconductors in the world. Again, if there will be serious disruption, the hit to the world economy will be huge. So that in this sense, everything is linked with everything in today's world. Yes, you have in your neighborhood this very strange and awful and horrible regime of North Korea. Again, we may say that it's regional stuff, but not. If they really manage to produce nuclear weapon, then, I guess it is immediately global problem and global concern. So that's why, once again, only peaceful solutions are those which can bring some benefit from using violence, using power, attacking smaller neighbors. From this comes only disaster all around the world.
那我们从乌克兰战争当中看到了，就是因为乌克兰本身就是主要出口谷物给粮食给非洲国家的一个地区哦，因此整个非洲国家因为这场战争导致有大饥荒的一个现象，因为谷物没法出口过去。再反观亚太地区哦，因为我们知道说，从欧陆跟亚洲大陆太平洋地区之间的这样子一个贸易路线航线，有很大量是经过台海的。所以我们其实不用想象，就算用想象的也好，或者用计算的也好，我们都知道台海如果发生战争，对于全球的经济造成莫大的影响。我先前已经讲到半导体，我们也知道说，像台湾也好，南韩也好，日本也好，还有中国，其实也是都有在出口半导体产品的。所以我们不难想象，这个地区如果出现了很大规模的影响的话，是牵一发动全身的。更何况还有一个北朝鲜在那边，他们有核武。那如果用战争的方式来解决纷争的话，那一定是引起全球的问题。因此，我还特别呼吁，有任何纷争一定要用和平的方式解决，否则如果是大国去侵略小国的话，那只有灾难的结果。
Any further questions?
有没有其他的提问？来
Or solutions?
Hello, Parliamentary. I'm Peru from Focus Taiwan. We know that Canada and Taiwan have recently commenced formal talks on investment, and just today, Taiwan and the UK announced a similar initiative. And we also know that Taiwan has expressed an interest in signing a bilateral investment deal with the EU, and the EP has actually supported this idea. So I'm wondering how you see that the European Commission has shown hesitance and even perhaps reluctance to begin BIA talks with Taiwan, and is there anything else that you think that the EP could do to encourage the EC to begin preparations on this? Thank you.
最近台湾跟英美之间其实都有许多的相关的投资协定的一些进展哦。那其实欧洲其实本身也有相关的兴趣，例如说像是欧洲议会本身也是支持的一个态度。可是那你怎么看待就是欧洲执委会这方面的态度？就是虽然说议会支持，但是执委会是否是支持的，还是可能是比较被动，或者是比较没那么有高的意愿的？那如果是如此，那请问欧洲议会要怎么做才能够去进一步鼓励执委会的这样子的一个行动？
European Union, of course, is very powerful, but at the same time also very complicated organization, because you can imagine if you have 27 countries and to reach consensus, it's not the easiest task. And this actually, I guess, describes immediately the talks with Taiwan will begin if 27 European Union countries all are in the opinion that now it's time to start. Correct, European Parliament expressed its will that it would be a right thing to do, but it's not enough. In European Union decision-making system, you also need, in this sense, support from all member states. So that in this sense, my feeling is that it will move, but it takes a little bit of time. At the same time, I guess positive side is that even without this agreement, the investments are anyway moving in rather big capacity from Europe to Taiwan and vice versa. So that in this sense, the absence of this agreement is not so big obstacle for real life, for real investments and real interest to each other. But of course, it would be good if we also can on contract level to regulate it, so that I think it happens. When exactly it happens, I don't know. It takes most probably a few years. But yeah, for this we need that all member states in final end are on board.
当然，我们知道欧盟是一个很大规模的组织，同时也是很复杂的组织。想象一下，27个国家要凝聚一个共识，不是容易的事情。所以说，如果要跟台湾有进一步这样子的一个洽谈，就必须要27个会员国都一致同意啊，是时候了，可以跟台湾谈了。当然，我们欧洲议会的态度是，的确，跟台湾谈相关的协议呢是正确的事情。可是，光是我们的意见跟支持并不够，还必须要有来自所有会员国的支持。所以我们知道这样子的事情势必是要时间，但即便没有这个协议事实上台欧之间双向的投资一直都在成长，可见的没有投资协议这件事情并不是太大的阻碍。当然，如果有相关的协议能够让跟台湾之间的互相投资能够进一步入法化的话，那当然是最好的。只是说，如果我们要做到这一步，还势必需要时间。
还有没有其他的提问？也许是最后一个提问喽。好，自由。
Hello, I'm Chen Yuyang from the Liberty Times. The EP has approved the report on EU-Taiwan political relations and cooperation in October 2021, supporting member states of EU to further strengthen their political engagement with Taiwan. And since 1 year and 9 months, what is your thought about the result? And has the EU administration done enough things then? Thank you.
之前呢，就是在2021年10月的时候，欧洲议会就已经有一个决议就是说鼓励所有的欧盟会员国进一步加强跟台湾的政治交流。可是事隔1年9个月到如今呢，目前这样子的一个决议成效如何？那要怎么样进一步去鼓励执委会以及所有的会员国进一步加强交流？谢谢。
Well, I think that taking into account all circumstances, then I think that actually there is no reason to be unhappy. In this sense, I think that the clear understanding in the European Parliament, what is what and who is who, it's very clear. I guess that also in European Union member states, the understanding is clear. This morning we also visited the European Union's how they call themselves officially, this representation here. Economic and Trade Office, yeah? We visited it. And what is in this sense good, that actually next to the European Union's representation here, this trade office, we also have the same kind of offices from 16 EU member states. And this is a very solid number. It shows clearly that this understanding and interest is very high in all over Europe. And also if we look at practical steps, then I think that actually, yes, all these common approaches, especially these days on security issues, this has clearly strengthened also the relationship between the EU and Taiwan. I described how nice looking is our trade volume and investments, but here again, this is still in the process because, well, I guess more and more people also admit that there are also certain risks, especially if we get, for example, so unique stuff from Taiwan. I mean, these semiconductors, for example, and if there will be certain interruption in these deliveries, that it will create, well, big problems. So that this kind of interconnectivity also strengthens the relationship in this regard, that we together have to find the ways how to decrease this kind of risks. So that all in all, I would say that I guess that this development of our relationship is on very good track. But of course, our common main problem still is security. And then here I repeat it and I repeat it again that here we need more cooperation. There are different branches, cybersecurity, for example. Because Taiwan is, well, suffering under massive cyber attacks. But it is also the case for Europe. And here the exchange of information, what is going on, how it is going on, and together also find the ways how better to resist for this kind of attacks. I guess it's simply practical and mutually useful. So that this is only one example where I guess that in security field we have do more, but there are many other fields as well.
那事实上呢，我们基本上就以目前台欧之间交流的状况，我们都非常的理解，个别的会员国都理解。那我们欧洲议会也都非常的理解。例如说，我们欧盟在台湾呢就有一个欧洲经贸办事处，那事实上就等于相当于是我们欧盟在台湾的一个代表处。那事实上呢，除了我们欧盟层级的代表处之外，也有16个欧盟会员国在台湾也都设有代表处。那因此，其实欧盟的层级以及许多的欧洲国家对于跟台湾之间的实质交流都非常有高度的兴趣。那就以实际的进展方面呢，事实上呢，台湾跟欧盟之间的安全的方面的一个关系呢，是进一步在拉近的。例如说，我刚刚也提到了，就是台湾跟欧盟之间的，无论是投资额还是贸易额，我都非常的看好。那当然，台欧之间的贸易也存在着许多的风险，例如说，像是半导体，台湾本身是算是蛮独特的一个供应来源。那这个台海地区有出现任何的一个状况，可能都会造成相关的风险等等。那当然是我们必须要进一步合作去进一步管理的。但整体的来言呢，我们台欧之间的关系，就以整个发展的方向，我本身非常的看好。那我也要重申就是我们台欧之间也要进一步去做加强安全合作。例如说像以网络安全来讲好了，我们知道台湾其实饱受网络攻击，这一点呢，欧洲也是一样的。因此，我们可以跟台湾跟欧洲之间可以互通有无，分享各自彼此的状况，看怎么样彼此互相的扶植，这是一个很务实也非常有用的一个合作方式。那刚刚就是以网络合作作为一个例子，那事实上我们能够合作的项目还不胜枚举。
好，我想我们限于时间呢，我们今天记者会必须停在这里。我们非常谢谢 Mr. Byert 你的讯息，那也谢谢今天媒体记者朋友的出席。那我们希望我们的访团在台湾的一切参访都能够顺利，也希望台湾跟欧盟的关系能够更加的深化。
Due to time constraint, we would like to stop here, and I will also like to once again thank the Honorable Urmas Pait for attending today's conference. We also thank all of you, friends from the media, for attending today's conference. And it is also our hope that Taiwan-EU relationship can be further strengthened in the future. Thank you.
So it's already finished. I thought that we just started, you know. But anyway, thank you for coming. Always pleasure to see you. And well, enjoy the evening because it's nice wind outside.
非常谢谢各位的前来哈，那非常高兴能够跟大家见面。请大家有个美好的夜晚。今天的风非常的凉快。
谢谢大家的出席，谢谢。
Thank you for your participation.
Maybe 主任要不要一起上来哈，或是还其他两位要不要？你的 photo session on stage for a photo?
All nice people can join me. All good-looking people, you know, because there is no point to other photos.